Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Solopreneur series. Today, my guest is Veronica Chordas, brand creator and web designer for entrepreneurs in the creative and healing arts. Known as the Digital Gypsy, Veronica embraces a traveling lifestyle, which she says helps to keep her eyes fresh and her heart open. Welcome, Veronica. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Bev.
Awesome. Well, as luck would have it, you and I happen to both be in the same general vicinity at the moment, the
Hmm.
beautiful British Columbia. But
Yes.
you go all over. Where have you been lately, and where are you going?
Well, lately, since March of this year, we've been in Canada for the most part. I do frequently visit my hometown in Ohio to keep touch with family and friends, and I do plan on a visit next month for Thanksgiving.
Ah,
But in March, we were in Saskatchewan visiting my partner's family who lives in Regina, and we were in Calgary, in Edmonton for most of the summer, and that's basically where he's from. He considers himself being from Calgary now because he lived there for about 20 plus years.
mhm.
So even though he grew up in Saskatchewan, he's more Calgarian than anything. And then we came over here to Vancouver, BC for the fall, and we'll be here through the winter.
Oh,
Prior to March, we spent the 3 years of the lockdowns in Mexico, traveling around various areas of Mexico. We were in Mexico City for about 7 months. We spent lots of time in Puerto Vallarta, also down in Puerto Escondido, Acapulco, Todos Santos. Uh, and we made little jaunt visits to different places as well. So we went to Aguas Calientes, and Sayulita as well. So,
wow. How do you even remember all those names?
yeah, getting better at Spanish. I'm still practicing, but definitely just very basic. You know, how are you? And this is what I want to eat.
Yeah, that's an important one. You
Yeah.
want to know that one. Well, that is awesome. I noticed from your bio and everything, you have a very eclectic background, to say the least. You have, I'm in awe of how many different fields you have had expertise in or worked in. Obviously, digital art and design and web design is one. The others are, though, music, yoga. I'm reading you're a Reiki practitioner. You're
Mhm.
into astrology, an adjunct professor, and a life coach. So
Yes.
um, that's fantastic. My question is, how did you finally decide on which passion to follow?
I don't know that I did decide.
Fair enough.
It's sort of a an interesting journey over the past 20 years where yeah, my background is in music. I'm actually classically trained musician on the French horn. I have degrees in music performance and music history and literature, and the class that I teach is music appreciation. So I still keep very much in touch with that because it is a passion of mine, and it's something that doesn't take a ton of my time, so I can interact with students and grade the papers, and it's less than 10 hours a week, and it's something that I really enjoy. The journey that I've taken entrepreneurially on the side has been because I was not successful as a music performer. I took many auditions in my youth, and I ended up getting married and have a child, and I did not get into the orchestras that I wanted to, that sort of thing. So I ended up changing my direction and went back for my master's degree in music history and literature with the goal of becoming a college professor. alongside of that, I was certified in yoga and in Reiki, and my spiritual journey began as well. I've always been an artist, and I've always been interested in graphic design. It's something that I was choosing between in my early life at 18 was music or graphic design, wasn't sure which direction to go.
Mhm.
And I did end up teaching myself the modern ways of doing graphic design with Adobe Illustrator and all of that. And that rolled into web design. So it's kind of an accidental journey. And I was certified as a life coach as well in the early 2000s, along with yoga and Reiki, and being into astrology and actually feng shui as well. And all of
Mhm.
those things were happening at the same time. I got a job in marketing, and I was attempting to have a yoga studio and go that route. And basically, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So, didn't make it as a musician, didn't make it as a yoga instructor, didn't make it as a life coach. Tried all of these things repeatedly, but I realized that all of the skills I accumulated in the process. Oh, I was also in child therapy as well. I was
Mm.
working with children um, in Pennsylvania with therapeutic support staff. So I've learned some things in that way. Then I was in marketing for an industrial company, and that's where I learned web design.
Okay.
And I ended up taking all of those skills that I accumulated and applying them to how I do things now. And I actually use astrology and energy reading and chakras in my branding process. And I actually use meditation and intuition in that process as well, not just for the participant, but myself. I will meditate on the design and on the look and feel of the brand and all of that. So it's become part of how I do things. So that's why I said I don't know that I chose. I think it evolved from all of those multi-potentialite interests that I've had over my lifetime. And
Exactly.
it's been a fascinating journey, and I just absolutely love what I do as a result.
Well, Joni Mitchell, just as an example, obviously singer-songwriter, she's been doing it for 50 or 60 years or something. Obviously, the
Mhm.
the chosen path for her. But if you ask her what is she or what kind of person is she, she'll say she's a painter because she loves art. And so, she was able to incorporate art a little bit into her music career by, the old days we had those big album covers and her album covers would have her art on it. So I think it's fabulous that you're basically doing the same thing. You've got
Mhm.
your thing, your digital art going. You still dabble in the music and you're bringing your spirituality into the business on a daily basis, right? Which is
Yes,
which
yes,
is
very
fabulous.
much so.
So, well, I love your work.
Thank you.
Um, I I love your designs and your websites. I'm it seems to me like you do a great job of getting, the client and being able to sort of pour out the client's personality, as it were, on the screen visually. And for me, I'm always struggling with, oh, should I make this bold? Should this be a bold kind of a theme? Should I go minimalist? Should I have a lot of animations or whatever? How do you ferret out what is the best design direction for any given person?
That is part of the branding process that I do. So again, I bring in astrology. I actually look at their natal chart and relate it to the color palettes. And we also look at traditional branding things such as the client avatar, what audience we're after and what will attract them. And I incorporate the archetypes. So if you're familiar with Jung's archetypes, those are used in advertising and marketing a lot as well. So, for example, Nike uses orange, which is related to the everyman.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the magical theme or the hero or the sage. So this process, the branding process takes a month to go through, and it's very personal and very one-on-one. I actually meet once a week with my client, and we go through these exercises and really dig deep into who they are, what their values are, what their purpose is, what they feel their purpose is, what the purpose of their business is, and if those are related or not. Usually they are,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the kind of clients that we work with. Usually their business is intimately related to their life purpose. And I distill the brand from all of that process. And that's what gets painted onto the website.
That's amazing. What if they already have a brand? Do you just kind of start from scratch anyway and make recommendations?
Yeah, it depends on the individual. So every process I do is very much customized. That's why my business is custom design.
Mm-hmm.
um, if they have a brand and they're looking to rebrand, then we go through that whole process. If they have a brand but they're looking to polish it, sometimes I'll pull in parts of the process or maybe one piece of it, or we'll just look closer at things. I always pull in the astrology chart, no matter what. Even if I don't like go through all the exercises with them, I will look at their natal chart just because it tells me so much.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Um, so you work with primarily conscious entrepreneurs and spiritual entrepreneurs, that kind of thing. Do you find that they have, generally speaking, a harder time kind of coping with the business world than other folks being, I think a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs are introverted, although not all. But I'm just wondering if you find yourself trying to draw them out.
It really depends on their personality. Um, Artists and writers in particular, I've found are very introverted, and it is difficult to pull some things out of them, and they have a hard time, especially with. I mean, I'm the same way. I really don't care for social media marketing, and they have a hard time with that too.
Yeah.
So, talking about themselves, advertising about themselves, putting their work out there is really difficult. I find with the more spiritually minded people, there's kind of two camps. One is very grounded and very much in this realm, and they're really good at navigating between the two and helping their clients do that. And usually those are the ones that are some sort of counseling. So they've gotten uh, 3D world training and they're able to apply their spirituality to that, right? And then the other camp is the really lofty, like head in the clouds
Yeah.
spiritual people that aren't connected to this realm very well. And those are more of the mediums and hypnotherapists, people that are, and yes, to answer your question, they have a hard time,
Okay.
especially with technology. So, like, I find myself supporting them a lot with basic things like setting up email on their phone, you know, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So I
How
think
to make
it's
a YouTube video.
right.
Something. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So do you recommend if someone is introverted and let's say not a social media maven type person, do you try to suggest that they kind of try to break through that, or do you suggest that they embrace that and work around it somehow, if that's possible?
I highly recommend working with a coach to every one of my clients.
Yeah,
If they're
yeah.
if they're in a business, they need a business coach. And usually, a good business coach will be able to determine the best, most comfortable marketing method for that individual. Personally, I've seen very successful businesses that don't use social media and use email marketing. How they build their email list in the first place
Well,
sometimes is social media.
yeah,
So I think it needs to be part of it regardless, but I think you can use it as a tool, um, to support what you're comfortable with, as opposed to trying to force, okay, I have to post every day and come up with all this content. And if it's something forced, you're gonna hate it, and it's not gonna get you the results anyway. So I'm all about doing what you're comfortable with as well as what works,
awesome.
not
Yeah,
forcing something.
I'm glad to hear you say
Yeah.
is it, what do you think about competition in the spiritual solopreneur field? I've heard people say, "Oh, we don't compete, we collaborate." But then on the other hand, "Oh, but you gotta, differentiate yourself in the marketplace." Where do you fall between those two?
I really do my best to support the former. So symbiotic and cooperative relationships as opposed to competition. And we could use you and I as an example. So we both do basically the same thing for basically the same audience. However, your expertise seems to be more in the development and SEO sort of area, where my expertise is more in the look and feel and branding of the website. So our companies could actually support each other and make referrals back and forth and have this symbiotic relationship, cooperative relationship, however you want to,
Right.
whatever you want to call that. We don't have to be in competition with each other.
Yeah.
We can support each other, and that's more comfortable for me personally. I've never been one to be part of actively participating in capitalism. I'm more of a cooperative kind of person, and that's how I run my business as well. So I do have a network of people that I like to refer to, and they in turn refer to me, which
Right.
is a wonderful thing.
Awesome. And I mean, even if we were doing the same thing, there's still ways that we can cooperate.
Mhm.
When we go to a networking meeting, we're not the only web designers there, right? There's other people, but everyone kind of has a little different take on what they do and who they work with, right? So I agree. I think there's always a way to collaborate.
Exactly. And even if we did do the exact same thing with the exact same focus, not everyone's going to resonate with me. They might resonate with you
Yeah,
and vice versa.
exactly.
So who who we draw to us, who's attracted to us is based on lots of things, whether it's the particular angle you take or the expertise you have or the energy that you emit, all of those kinds of things. So,
Hmm. Exactly. Just going back to the nomad thing
yeah.
for a minute, how does that feed your creativity, being, going from place to place?
Absolutely. So I'm a person that when I was in one place, I would rearrange my house quite frequently because I thrive on change. It's kind of a weird thing. I think I got it from my mom because she's the same way. Although she's very much a homebody, so it's kind of funny how I've taken the travel route and she hasn't. But that change and the fresh energy and the new place and new people, and it just it definitely feeds my creativity. I love walking around new neighborhoods, greeting new trees and plants and taking photos and just enjoying the energy of each space that we're in. Even when we're in one city for an extended period of time, we usually only stay in one apartment for maybe 2, maybe 3 months. So even, and at the end of 3 months, I'm like, okay, let's go, new place. So the downside of it is that you have to be minimalistic. That's a plus and a minus because I'm kind of minimalistic anyway. However, books are difficult. Like I love real books, and
Mm.
I only have. Mm, I'm looking at my little mini bookshelf over there, and there's maybe 10, 15 books there that actually make it travel with me. And when we were solely traveling by plane, it wasn't even those. Those were left in a storage unit. So not being able to take everything with you is a little hard. But at the same time, it's also great because we can pack up and be out of here in 20 minutes, you know?
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that's awesome. And just the idea of being able to explore a new place, that's what I would like. I would like to, look out, wake up the next morning after you've planted yourself, look out the window and go, oh wow, what's out there?
exactly. Yeah.
That's very
And
cool.
even just falling into different routines for each different place. Um, Here in Vancouver, I've gotten into swimming. So with all the wonderful community pools that are around, it's something that I've always loved to do and haven't had really the facility for it until being here. So having a new routine of going swimming 3 times a week is great, you know?
Oh, and good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So you're a high vibration person, I think.
Oh,
What's your
thank you.
take on that's my take. What's your take on the Earth reset, the 3D to 5D raising of the vibration is what is it? And I'm learning more and more about it the more people I ask. But I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
So I'm not really exactly sure. Like, can you define it a little better for me? Because there's the Great Reset, which is one
Oh,
thing,
oh,
and I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to,
I think
or
so. I think
okay,
it's the Great Reset. It's the raising of the vibration on Earth.
okay. So the Great Reset is actually the plan of those that are in high power to move to a global market. So I don't think it's the same thing that you're talking
Oh,
about. Yeah. And it began with COVID and all of that. But I do believe, without getting too far into my strange theories,
oh, please
that,
do.
yeah, okay. I don't want to alienate your audience at all.
Oh no.
Um, I do believe that we are in the midst of a, for lack of a better term, a war on consciousness. And I feel that happening on many levels. And I feel that those people that are in power and that are in charge are doing their best to keep the general population afraid because that is the way they can keep them in control. And those that are on the edge of this, such as spiritual leaders, mediums, people that are really pushing forward and helping to move humanity forward and evolve into the next level, as you're calling it, the great um,
Earth reset, I said.
Earth reset. Yeah. So the reset, I think that is the case. And in the 60s, they were talking about the age of Aquarius. We
Mm.
are moving into the age of Aquarius, and with that being said, we're leaving the age of Pisces, which is the age of the fish, which is interesting because the symbol for Jesus is fish, right?
Mhm.
So we're moving out of that, which is a time of war and fear and confusion and conflict, and moving into Aquarius. And we're on the cusp of that right now. And it takes a good 30, 40 years, don't quote me on that, to totally move into the next age. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing all of this change happening. And I believe that the powers that be are trying to keep us in the Pisces age and keep those old uh, dichotomies in play so that they can keep us afraid and keep us controlled. And
Sure,
we're
that's
not
where the money is.
exactly. Exactly.
There's no money in
So
everybody being enlightened.
precisely, money and power, right? So they want to keep power, they want to keep all the, when you look at the banking industry and big business and tech and even pharmaceuticals and all of that, it has come as it's kind of came to a head over the past couple of years and really moved into that fear space. And we had fear not just of the virus, but also fear of what that could mean. So on both sides, whether you were someone that was going and getting vaccines and wearing masks and being afraid and not traveling, or if you were someone that was rebelling against all of that and saying the complete opposite, which is they're trying to control us and this is a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. Those are both operating from fear. So
Yeah.
it was exactly what they wanted.
Right.
And I see that as like the method to keep us divided. Because as long as we're divided and fighting with each other, regardless of the issue, whether it's COVID or in the States,
Politics.
like the guns are a big thing, and whatever method, whatever issue, that's the word I'm looking for. Whatever issue they're coming from, it's a way to keep people fighting and not looking at who's actually doing this. So that's
Exactly.
my opinion.
Okay. That's well,
The
there's
opinions expressed on this podcast do not.
disclaimer.
Yeah.
No, well, there's no shortage of division. That's for sure. That I mean,
Right.
just in the last
Right.
few years, that's gone completely crazy. I would say though that maybe the on the good side, more people are becoming more spiritually aware,
And
right?
that's what's backfiring for them is because this very thing of attempting to keep us all afraid is causing more and more people to wake up.
Right. Ironically.
So, yes. So it's a beautiful thing, actually. It's like kind of like, yes, this is how it has to happen.
It just has to happen this particular way
Mhm.
for whatever reason. That
For
is
whatever
awesome.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Veronica, do you have a final parting message for whoever is listening? Just to say this, here's a little positive message for you to take away.
Yeah, I just want to say every single one of us are creative beings. We are creators. And just go and create. Be you, do what lights you up. And when something lights you up, others will be naturally drawn to you.
Got it. That is awesome. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Hey, where can people contact you and find out more about your services?
My website is www.wonderlust, so wonder plus lust, dot love, not dot com,
I
dot
like
love.
that. I like that.
Yes. And my Gmail is digitalgypsy, WCD, @gmail.com. You can email me there as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Veronica, for being here. Really appreciate it. It's been a great conversation.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right. We will talk to you again soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, Bev.